So we just came from our Roma lot, which is our next build that's coming out of the ground next week. And it just so happens that we're finishing up here at our Duo project, our coastal modern that has some of the best views of Camelback Mountain. And I want to talk about what it entails for final grade and what our current in-house team is doing so that we can be able to accelerate this process with an amazing finished product that's going to go to market in about 5 to 6 weeks. Let's get to it. So in our previous video, we talked about the importance of track out rock, and now it's time for us to remove that track out rock and get prepped for hardscape. One of the most important pieces is going to be our driveway, because we need to make sure that we meet the code standards that allow us to be able to drive heavy vehicles in and out of the garage each and every day. We need to excavate about 10 inches down to be able to ensure that we get our appropriate A-B compaction before we actually pour this concrete pad. Now this is going to be a finished aggregate or acid wash pad to be able to flow into the modern design that we have, but we want to make sure that it's going to be stable for the next 100 years, and the only way to be able to do that is to be able to make sure that we have the appropriate compaction and that we have a solid base to be able to place that concrete when the time comes. As we move on to some of the other areas in the front yard, we're going to be prepping for the front walkway as well as the basins that are required for our flood retention that'll be residing over here in our landscape portion of the property. As you can see here at the front of the house, not only will we have a garage entrance, but we will have our front patio detail as well as our office patio detail that will allow to be able to extend that modern living outdoors here in the great weather that we have in Arizona. But the most important piece is that if we can take care of some of these items right up front, we ensure that they're done correctly and that it's prepped appropriately for our trade partner to be able to come in and complete their overall scope of work with ease, and also helps to ensure that no additional change orders are incurred, as well as reducing the overall cost associated with this very important step of dirt prep. While the front yard is pretty easy and less complex, let's move to the backyard where some of the key features of the home reside to be able to talk about some of the additional dirt work that's absolutely crucial for any of your builds. So one of the most important aspects is to be able to get the water to flow where it needs to flow based on the grading and drainage plan that's been approved by our civil engineer. We have a small basin in the front yard, and in this particular property, we slope from front to back. So our extreme outfall is actually going to be in the alley that technically the city owns. And to be able to do that, we want to make sure that this is sloped and V'd appropriately so that all of our water actually gets to what their code requirement is, which is 10 feet away from the property. The reason that this drain is crucial is because it allows us to be able to get that water out from the side of the house and to the extreme outfall location, which will be in our lowest basin on our landscape plan. So next critical area that we want to make sure is ready for our hardscape is going to be our pool decking. Now in this case, we're going with an acid wash concrete again, so we're going to have a 4-inch pool coping detail, and we need to ensure that our plumbing that resides typically right outside of our shotcrete wall is deep enough to be able to get the compaction that we need. Now, since this is a walking deck, we only need 4 inches of AB, and then on top of that, we'll have it prepped, compacted, and ready for our placement of our concrete patios that will create a modern masterpiece out of this beautiful pool detail that was completed by Sunkist Pools for us just a couple weeks ago. So the last piece I want to talk about is prepping for our lowest basin. Now to be able to get to our extreme outfall, this is actually called to be the lowest point of the lot, and this is where all of our water will eventually reside. That allows us to be able to stay in compliance with FEMA regulation and the G&D requirements that we had from the beginning of the project. So one of the items that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn down this stair that allows us to be able to have 2 stair details that drop into a basin that will allow for the rest of our landscape plan to come to fruition. We appreciate you following along at Rebuild the Block. If you have any questions or you're looking to build a custom home here in the Valley, don't hesitate to reach out. We look forward to speaking with you, and as always, have a great day.